Hey everybody, welcome to this tutorial. We're going to walk through solving cryptograms, also known as aristocrats today. I have not seen these problems myself, so you'll be hearing my own problem-solving process as I decode each one by spotting patterns, identifying common letters, and applying logical reasoning. I found this is a great way for beginners to bridge the gap from tips and tricks to putting these in practice themselves. If this is your first time here, be sure to like and subscribe, plus check out our channel for other Cipher tutorials. All right, so let's jump in here. We're on the home page of Sci Tools, and we're going to go up here to the left to select and start a new puzzle. Then we just go down here to Aristocrat, and we pull one up here. And now we're just going to start seeing what shows up. Remember, if you click within a box, you can see the number of occurrences a lot easier to give you an idea of frequency and things like that. So we start out, we see that E is a single letter, so we know that needs to be A or I. And there's no other placement of A. Actually, so we look at E here, and it's the start of a three-letter word. I can't think of any common three-letter words that start with I, but and is a very common one. So I'm going to go ahead and do A, and then I'll just try N and D. But obviously, look up here. Yeah, that doesn't work very well at all. But I still like A better than I at this point. So I'm going to leave that there. Look at some other patterns here. Now, this is another one. So we've got A here. You have V at the start and end of a four-letter word. So again, these common patterns, this is very typically the word that, T-H-A-T. And if we look here, H, which is not a very common letter, only has one more occurrence, but T, which is more common, shows up a lot. So let's try that and see where it gets us. That, let's see here. Okay, so we've got that. Now this is interesting because the first thing that came to mind was this, THIS, but I at the end of a three-letter word doesn't make any sense. But E actually does, and E actually makes sense up here in front of an A as well. And so if we do that, that they, so, and again, Y only occurs this time, which is, it is an uncommon letter, so that makes sense. And then A blank E, at this point, we're looking for the verb that they are. So yeah, so that's kind of the starting point. We've got a few letters here. Things are making sense. We look around. We've got T blank blank T. Um, yeah, I would think E and T or A and T, but I've already used E and A. A re so rear is not because we don't repeat the R, but you got real, reap, but it can't be reap because the encoded letter is P. So I'm gonna go ahead and do L here. I don't know if that's gonna help with anything else. Ooh, so I've got L here. I look down and I've got A blank LE. Again, there's not very many other occurrences, but this would be able. Uh, Something-able. Makes perfect sense. All right, I'm kind of looking around at what else. This is starting to get filled out. Hmm. So TR, CR. Okay, now this is interesting. We've already used, between R and B, this has to be a vowel. We've already used A and we've already used E. And the encoded letter is a U. So we know this needs to be an I or an O. Now, I want to say O makes more sense. What's F here? Yeah, so if we went O here and looked at the comma, a real something something something, and then a comma is kind of a break, right? So a common English thing is not, right? Or but also, but it's not a U. So I think this could be not. Like, I want to go to the store, not to school, right? Like that kind of a thing. This, and so this could be an I or a U because you've got unstoppable or inconsolable. Given that it only occurs once, I'm thinking U, that they are something. Oh, okay, I'm seeing this now. So Roble, and then typically at the end, a lot of times if it's plural, it could be S. So I'm seeing problems. problems. I'm going to try that out. And things are starting to come together. SOL, okay, unsolvable and solves. So that's V. And then I started thinking, who solves problems? A real scientist solves problems, not. Okay, now what I will say here is that if you are in competition and you see this, you can move on to the next problem because in Science Olympiad, you can miss up to two letters and still receive full points. So it could be fails, it could be whatever, but you don't even need to guess. You can leave it, and you're confident about everything else, move on to the next one. I'm gonna A real scientist solves problems, not. Nope, that is not correct. And it did an automatic check there because it was the last letter. Uh, Oh, maybe it is a whale. Okay, not whales, like cries that they're unsolvable. Okay, that was exciting watching me think about that last part. But anyway, so this was, I mean, it's 7 minutes talking through it, but a real scientist solves problems, not whales that they are unsolvable. We started and just kind of worked through things and kept working through it. So 7 minutes, that would, if this was the bonus question at the start of the test, this would still fall under the 10 minutes and get some bonus points. Okay, let's try this one now. This is a little more difficult because there's not an obvious starting point with a single letter. But as I look across here, we actually have an apostrophe and a single letter. And what's actually interesting here is that this T, typically there's two options here. There's in apostrophe T, like can't or don't, or you can end up with an apostrophe S for possessive. And so since this is encoded to T, I think this really needs to be S. And this kind of makes sense because you've got two S's down here. You've got an S at the end of a two letter. Nothing seems correct. Now, the unfortunate thing is that really doesn't help us with this leading letter. If it's in T, you at least get two letters there. Um, so we'll just look at some other frequencies of letters here. So this is a three-letter word, but the second letter is encoded to H, so we know this cannot be the, unfortunately. Uh, but maybe that's always the interesting thing to think about is, so if this was the, T occurs a few more times, which it is a common letter. H, less common, only occurs once. And E, we have ESS, makes sense. And E at the end of a word, totally makes sense. So let's go ahead and put this in here, see what else we can come up with. Now, as I think through this, this would likely, well, it could be A, I, or U, but us as the second letter in a sentence doesn't make sense. And given that it's the second word, sorry, the second word, not the second letter, given it's the second word, that's typically a verb, so that would likely be is and not as. So then let's jump down here. I'm looking around and I see T-I blank blank. Again, a common, we've got a bunch of, well, I was going to say T-I-O-N, but right there, the O would not make any sense, I-O-E-S-S. But what does make sense is an N. So the other common three-letter ending is I-N-G. And actually we look and we have ing repeated up here. That makes sense. So blank is something, something. So this is where it's like you just got to keep looking around for patterns and where are letters repeating. So I was thinking this could be like after, but I don't like how an F at the start of a two letter, not the case. That could be an O. Oh, S-I-N-E-S-S. If this, yeah, this is an uncommon or not repeated, and this is a less one. So I think this is actually business. Oh, so then this helps up here. So now in blank TU blank E. So I'm seeing nature there. Is nature's blank. Three letters. And again, this is just trial and thinking through these things, but starting to hear phrases when you say this. Is nature's way of. That's a very common nature's way of solving problems, nature's way of something. So that just kind of helps as you start saying this out loud to yourself. Uh, this feels like for some reason promoting comes to mind. Oh, and that's interesting. So P and M here filled in this spot, and that actually feels like camping. Again, you could walk away here because you only got two letters left. You miss those and still get 2 points or full points. But camping is nature's way of promoting the motel business. Very funny. All right, let's take a look at this one. This is a long one. We've got a couple commas in here, no single letters. There are a lot of double letters, though. And the interesting, this is a pattern that I see a lot, is on the two letters, there's multiple two-letter words that start with H, but they have different second letters, W and T. So that again gets my brain starting to think it's not H is not O, it's not so, or two or something because those really only have one word at that they that the second letter could be. But things like on, if this is an O, you could have on of, or let's see here, it if. So this is likely going to be a vowel. And if I look, these are likely that. And honestly, again, this is probably an I or an O, which tells me if I look at this, this is I and then two letters. So maybe this is I in G. We'll just fill that in and see if that helps spark anything else. So let's see here. So if this is I, then that could be is, it, if, in. But then it's interesting that this is repeating right here. And we already used in theory. So and if that's a G, I don't think this is I don't like that right here. I still like the I though, possibly. Let's look around at some of these four-letter words and three. Okay, so if we look at this here, okay, so E is at the end of a two-letter word. Oh, look here, we've got the same thing we saw in another puzzle, where the first and the last letter of a four-letter word are the same. So let's go ahead and put that in there again. And if that's the case, then we've got two, because that's the only option for that two-letter word. Um, Actually, a three-letter after that could very well be but or not. So then this could be a not or but. Oh, that's right. We already have O up here. So I'm going to put, so comment like, I want to have soda, but my parents are telling me to have water, right? Now, this actually doesn't look good though, because the only word that could, or letter that could generally go here is a Y, buy, but that does not work for YTTY. So uh, we are just going to back that out. And that's what happens with some of this trial and error. I think this, since do we have in? We don't have in, but like initial, for some reason I'm thinking L here, that that's got to be a vowel. And that definitely looks like a vowel there. So what have we not used? We've used A. No, that's not. Oh, I've got T in here twice. That would be why. I never took that back. Okay, this is a good reason to clean up. Okay, so if this is E, which this occurs a lot, and then essential. I was seeing essential, and then the T's didn't work. That's why, is because I didn't delete the other one. All right. And now this, okay, not by, but B. So, yes, forgot about word B. Okay. Be beautiful if you, and we saw this earlier that there was a three-letter word repeated that we knew likely wasn't the. You is another common one that I would have gone back and tried, but we got some progress elsewhere. If you be beautiful if you can. Oh, wise if you want, but be, I think this is, but be Oh, there's a hyphen here, so this is not a single sentence. But be respected, that is essential. Be beautiful if you can, wise if you want to, but be respected. That is essential. All right, here is a longer one. Let's see what we can do here. Looking around, four-letter words. I don't see any that repeat the first and the last letter, though, so that's unfortunate. Let's check some of these. Oh, there's a lot of three-letter words. Oh, here's an apostrophe. Okay, so this is likely, well, I'm very certain this is an E. This is either an R or a V. So we look at the other occurrences, and two places Q is at the end of the word. Generally don't see that with the letter V, so we're going to go and put an R there. Then we go back up here, and I was going to say you've got or, ire, and R, but where it's placed, the most likely candidate is R. So now just with that, we've got two of our common vowels and a very common letter. So let's see what else comes out of this. I was thinking very, but the V's, that doesn't seem likely. Are okay. So I click this. There's a lot of occurrences, but I was thinking this might be a Y. There are a lot of occurrences, but if I look here, this could be Y-O-U-R, and then if that's the case, O O O O and U. So there are a lot of occurrences, but that's because the word U or forms of it are actually multiple places. So again, you can't always go off the fact that Y is uncommon, so it would never appear multiple times. So blank, you are, mm, oh, Hero. So that's hero. And so now we've got HE, so I'm thinking T. So this could be then or they. We've not used, oh, actually, we already used Y. Oh, this is then or them, but again, with follows with your. So then, then your something, right? Oh, and Tory is, I'm thinking story, and I look down here and there's double, which that works with S. Great. And then here I see three letters with N in the middle. My mind goes to ing, like missing. That's honestly what came up when I saw the double S. So that works for ing. And I think then you're missing the, so this, oh, so I'm thinking missing, and then you get down here, and that works for humanity as well. So missing the, oh, I was thinking missing the point. That didn't work, but that's point is right here of your humanity. So that must be the whole point. If you are not the hero of your own story, then you're missing the whole point of humanity. All right, so that was walking you through a few examples of how to just think through an aristocrat problem. When you're doing this yourself, it may not come easy at first, but you just have to keep working through it and keep trying. And here's the thing, if you're not exactly sure, sometimes you can just go in and get a hint, right? You can, okay, W, so maybe that's E. Well, now all of a sudden this can come back. So get to a point, use the hints to get yourself going. But then once you do this more and more, it will come more easily. There's also the key option down here. So this shows you the letter frequency across here. So again, this is very simple, but the J, you'll sometimes be given these on an exam, Codebusters exam. But like the J, if we look here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you can just easily look across here too and go, oh, well, 9 is R. So why don't I look at R? Okay, that's one of my most common ones, STRA. Well, well, we've already used E, so maybe this is S then. Great. And then I is less, so you got this, right? So again, you just start trying things. And then W blank E, well, very common two-letter is uh is H, and then you got WHERE, whereas. So whereas, and now all of a sudden just entering a few things and we're humming right along. Oh, I tried I here. Okay. I'm looking at this here and this was jumping out at me as necessary, but then it's not in necessary, but it's if I did a U here, us. So unnecessary. Theory. I feel like that's thinking. All right. Oh, and then look, we had thinking and think. So we think habits, habits. We think habits restricts us, whereas habits free us from unnecessary thinking. All right. But again, use these to use the hints and the frequencies to get yourself going. And the more you do these, the more you will see the patterns and the more it will become second nature. All right, that does it for now. I hope this walkthrough helped you see that these are solvable if you take it one step at a time. Let us know in the comments below if there are other Codebuster tutorials you want to see next. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and until next time, happy decoding.